What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam. It's hashtag homeless. It's day 95. And I don't have any notes or anything like that for today. So I told you I was going to do this whole series about synchronicity. And I am. I have part 2 in my thoughts and in my notes, but yesterday, just the way everything happened yesterday, I didn't really have time to, I didn't have the energy, more important. I didn't have the energy to sit down and put down my thoughts in a way that I could get through them efficiently, make sure I cover everything I want to say about part 2 of the story. And so it's there. Today is another day. Today is a day where I'm going to have a lot more time than I had yesterday in order to do things like that. And while I'm sitting at the library or wherever I end up, I will have the ability to sit and formulate those notes. So I would expect to see part 2 of the Synchronicity series to be tomorrow. And today it's going to be a short video today because I always say that and then I ramble on for an hour. But I've got an hour and a half before the library opens, and it's a little chilly out. I should have wore a long sleever. The last 2 days were warm in the morning. I was carrying around a long sleeve one day, 2-3 days ago for no reason. And so we're in that part of the year where you never really know what it's going to be in the morning until I'm already outside and I'm thinking, crap, I should have wore long sleeve, but I'm not going back to get it. I didn't want to be at the homeless shelter today. For whatever reason, the place got really crowded over the last week or two. And there's more drama, more people, more drama. And nothing bad. There's nothing bad to talk about. No, nobody got under my skin. No, there's nothing going on in terms of having a reason to be upset about. No, none of that. It's been pretty chill over the last several days. But sometimes I just can't stand to be around all of that. And so I just leave to go. You can hear the park is not as quiet as it normally is, on the weekends, but there's this weird, every time I'm down here, it does not matter what time I'm here. A lot of you are going to say I'm being gang stalked, and I don't believe that, but there is this weird situation where I come down and I sit on this bench and I come down to this park, and every single time, and the time range, it could be 7 a.m. that I come down here. It could even be before that. It could be 8:30 in the morning. It could be 8:45 in the morning. Anytime between 7 a.m. and 8:45. And I notice when I get here, 5 to 10 minutes after I sit down at this bench or wherever I'm sitting, this guy shows up with the dog. Same guy, same dog, every single day. And I mean every single day that I'm here in this park. I mentioned that a few videos ago, and of course, the people chimed in, you're being gang stalked. Oh, that's because they're, that's undercover, whatever the fuck. He's there, he's not really hanging around me. He's just walking his dog around. But I do find it odd that no matter what time I get here, if it's 7 a.m., he's here at 7:10. If I'm here at 8:20, he's here at 8:30. He's always here about 5 to 10 minutes after I get here, no matter what time I get here. And I was even thinking about that as I was walking to the bench today. I'm like, I bet the guy with the dog shows up 10 minutes after I sit down, and here he is. It's weird. Very weird. But that's all my weekend has been, is weird. Yesterday I had some more weird synchronicities and encounters that were just strange, and I'm not going to get into the details of it, not yet. It had nothing to do with the ex, none of that. But once again, I don't know what to make out of it. I've had the stuff that happened yesterday reminded me of some things that happened within the last 2 weeks, I don't know what day it was, something happened at the library that was strange. And it really, I'll say it in a nutshell, you see the same people over and over again. You know, it's kind of like this guy with the dog. You see, everywhere I go, the same people show up over and over again. And so, yeah, a lot of you are going to chime into the comments, well, you're being gang stalked. Of course, you're being gang stalked. It's more like I'm in a small town. That's the more rational explanation. I live in a small town. There aren't that many places to be in this town. So you are going to run into people, and you are going to see people when you live in a small town like this. I grew up in a small town. If you're at the grocery store in a small town like the town I grew up in, you are going to see people you know, and you're going to see people you've seen before. It's different when you're in a small town. In a city, when I lived in Pittsburgh, there were times where, let's just say in Pittsburgh, I had, there was an occasion that I had a relationship that ended, and I was hoping that I would never see this girl again. And I never did. I never did. And I'm talking like this relationship ended in 2014, and I moved out of the city. Well, I moved out of the city a few years later, but there were times where I parted ways with people who still lived in the city and never saw them again. For 10, 15 years would go by, I never saw this person again. I knew that we both frequented the same neighborhoods, and whether it's an old friendship that you just don't want to run into this person again, you had a falling out with, or whatever, an old relationship, whatever the case may be, every now and then you have somebody in your life that you would just rather not cross paths with again. And when you're in a city, Pittsburgh's not even that big of a city, but there's enough stuff going on that the chances of you running into the same person over and over are pretty small. But when you're in a small town, the chances of you running into the same people every day are high. It's just like the guy who hates Donald Trump at the library. I see him at the library. I see him at Tim Hortons. I see him walking all over town. I could be sitting at McDonald's using the Wi-Fi there. He'll come walking in there. And there's a handful of other people that I see everywhere I go. But it really boils down to, there aren't many places to go. If you need a place to go sit and chill with Wi-Fi, for example, if you're somebody who needs to use the Wi-Fi and you got no place to go, you don't have a home, number one. But if you're just looking for certain things, Jamestown is too small. There's only like I said, there's 3 places I can go and use the Wi-Fi. So you're going to run into these people over and over again. And I don't think that that's a stalking situation. It's a small town situation. But it's weird. I mean, some of it's weird. Like yesterday was definitely a strange one. I saw somebody, went for a walk to the other side of town, saw that same person again like 5 minutes later. Like, it was just strange. And I feel like it was, I don't know. Sometimes these things happen and I don't know why. And so it was synchronicity. But I don't always understand what it means. And so I have a lot of things. There's a lot more. My eyes are moving around. There's just a lot of activity down here during the week. There's this power plant that you've seen in the video. You saw it in the video a couple of days ago. During the weekday, there's just constant traffic in and out, noise coming from every direction. It's cities, medium-sized cities, like even Pittsburgh. Downtown Pittsburgh can be pretty quiet during the weekends when everybody's home and nobody's working. Especially back in the day, the city would completely shut down at 5 p.m. during the week, and on the weekends it's a desert. There's nobody down there. But during the week, it's so loud everywhere you go that if you're carrying around a cell phone trying to make a call, It's very difficult to find a place where you can make a cell phone call in downtown Pittsburgh. I know places you can go, and there are parks and there's different places you can go where you can get some silence, but there's always this background noise. But there are places to go. It's not as crazy as Jamestown, because in Jamestown, in this area of Jamestown, it's loud everywhere you go. In Pittsburgh, it's loud, but there are places to duck away from it, and you can find a quiet place to make a phone call. You can do that. I've done it. I used to live and work in downtown Pittsburgh. I didn't live downtown, but I basically lived downtown. Spent more time there than anywhere else, and you can get away from the noise. It's kind of it's a different place, but Jamestown, everywhere you go, it's just loud and obnoxious, especially Monday through Friday. And let's see. So yeah, I'm all over the place. I have a lot of fatigue setting in right now, and it's just due to this situation that I'm in and the stress of it all, combined with poor eating. It's very difficult to eat healthy right now. The shelter, they feed us, but it's comfort food a lot. And I'm not saying, like I said, a lot of times we get some really good meals, but I wouldn't call it the epitome of health either. It's, comfort food, and it's, they're feeding a lot of people, so they're going to make things that are easy to feed to a lot of people a lot of times, and that's fine. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but the one thing, at least when I came home from prison, I was eating fairly healthy. I might eat some things that aren't necessarily healthy, but I was mixing it up. I was eating a lot of salads, a lot of fresh foods. I was eating a lot of carrots and just not so much, well, maybe some fruits here and there, but a lot of, I just wasn't eating I was maintaining my weight better, and I felt healthier because I was just eating a mixture of health and comfort food. And now it's just junk and snacks and comfort food. I'm either eating what the shelter provides, or junk food, or snacks, because that's what you can get when you have an EBT card and you have limited funds. It's not like I can go to the grocery store and stock up on salads and fresh foods and fruits and vegetables and all that stuff and keep it in a fridge and make a healthy salad when I'm hungry for a salad, or have some carrots and blue cheese or whatever, if I want a snack. Like that was what I was snacking on when I had a roof over my head. I would get some carrots. I had a bowl of carrots and with a snap top lid and some ranch dressing or some blue cheese dressing, and I would just dip my carrots. That would be my evening snack, instead of ice cream and candy bars and crap like that. So, carrots and blue cheese are better. And so I'm feeling there's just a level of fatigue. And yesterday it hit me. It's hitting me a lot lately. I'll come back to the shelter at like 6 or 7 p.m. And for a long time, I would just sit and work until 11, 12 o'clock at night. And now I'm getting to the point where I'm ready to fall asleep at 6 p.m. Yesterday was no exception. I came back to the shelter it was about 7 o'clock. I went and grabbed a couple double cheeseburgers at Burger King because I was craving something. I was craving some sort of burger. And I haven't had a burger in a while, but I didn't want to. Five Guys would be where it's at. That's the burger I want. But that would be a 6-mile walk to go to Five Guys and back. So I'm not. There's a Burger King. It was about a 2.5 mile walk. So I went and got some double cheeseburgers. 2. Had those. And bacon double cheeseburgers. Not the best. I mean, I don't like fast food. I don't want to go, but the options here in Jamestown are so limited. And so I did that instead of having dinner at the shelter. I have no idea what they fed at the shelter yesterday. I didn't want to be there. It boiled down to not wanting to be there, but I was done with the video stuff, and I was done with everything that I wanted to work on, at least until that point. I went on a walk. I did that. Then I came down and sat at this park. There's this one little, it's part of the park that I'm sitting in now. It's part of the park that you saw with the power plant. It follows the riverbank, and it goes down past the main homeless camp, and there's a trail that it's called the River Walk or something like that. And there's one little spot where there's all these ducks, hundreds of ducks, and the ducks just chill there because people feed the ducks down at this spot. People all day long, people are stopping to feed the ducks, and so these ducks, they're right next to the river. They're protected. Nobody's hurting the ducks, so they feel safe. They know that people are going to stop by all day and drop off food, and so there's hundreds of ducks just right at this one little spot along the river. And so I hung out there for about an hour, just kicking it with the ducks. And if you sit there and you're still and you don't make sudden movements and stuff like that, these ducks, they'll just come right up to you and they'll hang out with you, and they'll just like lay down right next to you and take a nap or whatever they do. But if you get too close, like if I pull out a camera and try getting up close to them, they're gone. they'll take off. But if you're just sitting there, chill, the ducks, they won't, you don't bother them, they don't bother you, but they'll come right up to you. Because they're expecting to be fed every time they see people down there just sitting. And so I just hung out there for about an hour. And then I wandered back to the shelter, and I had every intention of pulling out my laptop and working on the notes for part 2 of the synchronicity story. And I just couldn't do it. I grabbed my phone, my pair of headphones. I laid down on the bed in the private room, and I just started watching YouTube, and I was probably asleep by 9 o'clock. And therefore, I was up real early this morning. I was up at like 4 a.m. and couldn't go back to sleep. So I watched some stuff. And I did watch something this morning that brought something to my attention, or that something to talk about in this video, since I'm not, since I'm just going off the cuff and talking about random things. I did spend a couple of days last weekend talking about the situation with the ex and the treatment that I was dished out when I came home from prison and all of that. And this one guy whose videos I watch, you might have seen me do a live stream with him. His YouTube name is Truth Tiger. And he talks about narcissists all the time. That's like his main focal point in the things that he talks about. And the things, he talks about things that he's been through and all of this. And the one thing that people on my channel the last couple of days are, number one, somebody made a comment that they thought my ex was stalking me, and that's not the case. That's the same as the guy who shows up here at the park with the dog. It's a small town. You're going to see people. If you recognize somebody and you recognize their car, you're going to see them, especially in a town like this. You're going to see people. You're going to see people over and over again. And so that's not, I thought that the circumstances around it were strange. The other circumstances that went with it were strange, but the fact that, as long as I'm stuck in Jamestown, I'm going to see her. There's just no way around it. It sucks. I don't want it, but it's going to happen. And one of the other things, like, people were basically saying that, oh, she's a narcissist and all this and that and the other thing. And yeah, I feel like I was done dirty when I came home from prison. But I also just want to make the point, and nobody's accusing me of this. Nobody's putting this in my face. But I don't think it's a case of good guy versus bad guy, or good, one person was good, another person was evil. I think I did things wrong too. I went to prison for some really dumb shit. And I put the people around me through a lot of crap because of that. And, I could say that the government went too far, and so did everybody else, including her. They all agree that the government took this way too far and that I got railroaded by them and done dirty by them. But, and there's not a single thought ever went through my head when I was making these stupid social media posts that my door is going to get kicked in by the FBI because I'm ranting on a backwoods social media site where everybody else on the platform saying the same shit every day. And so, but at the same time, if I shouldn't have been running my mouth like that and putting people around me in harm's way, including myself, by, opening up the door of possibility for things to happen. And I take responsibility for that. So for me to sit here and say that I did absolutely nothing for someone to be angry and upset with me, then that's not accurate. But on the flip side of it, I will stand by the fact that I never treated her badly. I never hurled her an insult. I never treated her badly. I never did anything I was never anything but good to her. This stupid thing that I did, I didn't do it to her. If anything, I did it to myself. But, and so there was a level when I came home from prison, I was being dished out some treatment. I was being treated like shit. I was having insults and threats and everything else you can imagine hurled at me on a daily basis and being treated like garbage every day. And I never did that in return, and I never did it the whole time we were in a relationship together. And so, but to say that I was completely innocent and that I didn't do anything wrong, I just don't want people to think that I'm just, that I don't see that, you know what I mean? And so nobody's accusing me of that. There were no comments on the last 2 days worth of videos that, well, if you weren't such a piece of trash, blah, 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 then this wouldn't happen. No, it wasn't anything like that. But I was listening to this guy's video today, and he was saying certain things about what narcissists do, right? And a lot of what he was saying was stuff that I experienced especially during those 6 weeks after I came home from prison. A lot of it was just like, nailed it. You know what I mean? Just like one thing after the next, this guy was listing out. But then I would hear something about, well, I would hear him say another thing, and I would say, I've been guilty of that. I've done that one. And I've done that before. So, I can look at certain things like that and say, it's not always these things when they happen. It's not always a situation of one person was a perfect angel and the other person was an evil piece of trash. And I'm not saying that that's what happened in my situation at all, but I definitely did not deserve the level of I've been dished out a lot more than I dished out myself. I have received 100-fold was dished out to me compared to what I dished out to the world. That's the best way to put it. I did something stupid and I put some stuff out there that was bad, and then it came back to me 100 to 200 times worse than what I said some stupid words on a social media site, and I lost my freedom for 2 years. I went to prison. I'm a convicted felon now for the rest of my life. I'll never be able to own a firearm. I'll never be able to truly defend myself for the rest of my life. I'm a sitting duck now for the rest of my life. I lost everything I ever owned. My home is gone. Everything I had, my career is gone. My friends and family all turned their backs on me. I'll never talk to most of those people. There are most of those people I'll never talk to again. I don't know a single person in my family who I'll ever talk to again. Yeah, I haven't seen my children in 2 years. The best relationship I ever had, that went down the toilet. And, you know, like I said, all the stuff that happened during those 6 weeks after I came home from prison. And it's just been one thing after the next. And now I'm homeless, can't get a job anywhere, stuck in this miserable hellhole of a town that I can't. Like, did I deserve all of that because I said some stupid shit on Twitter or Gab or whatever platform it was? I don't believe I do. So, but, you know, here we are. And so I got to figure out how to deal with this. And so that's where I'm at. We're at like 26 minutes now. But yeah, I heard that today. I was watching this video, and it was just like it was a mixture of reflection of, yeah, I've been guilty of that in the past. I've been guilty of doing these things. I'm not perfect. I mean, I'm not perfect in these videos. I swear, I make comments, and I sometimes I say something in the video here where I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have went that far or whatever. But I'm not perfect. I'm not ever going to claim to be perfect. I'm not sinless. I'm an imperfect child of God, just like everybody else walking the face of the earth right now, and whoever was. There's only one who walked the face of the earth who was perfect in the eyes of God, and that was his own son, and look what the world did to him. He got a pretty raw deal too. So I'm never going to make that claim that I'm perfect or that I never did anything wrong. And, we were talking about, some people made some Star Wars comments in yesterday's video. And, even in the Star Wars movie, Anakin, he became evil. He turned into Darth Vader, but he still had good left in him. He still threw the Emperor down the reactor shaft and looked his son in the eyes and basically saved the galaxy until Disney came along and ruined it. But he did his part. But even the Jedi, like Obi-Wan and the rest of the Jedi, they weren't the good guy. They weren't necessarily all the good guys either. Like there's this whole thing where they treated Anakin Skywalker like crap his whole life. He was already a 9-year-old boy who had been a slave his whole life, who was freed by the Jedi, and the Jedi didn't want anything to do with him. and they treated him like garbage the whole time they were, bringing him up in the Force. And there's this whole like pattern of thought that if they had treated him better, he might not have turned into Darth Vader. And so they did him wrong. And so like there's this whole way you can look at Star Wars and Anakin versus Obi-Wan, that they both fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like one was ultimately a good guy, the other one was just a bad guy. It was just, mistakes were made. And so that's what kind of people were telling me yesterday. You gotta forgive. And that's a hard thing to do right now. It's a hard thing to do because I had to pull those clips out of Star Wars just to show you, like, that's what goes through my head, especially when I'm going through a really bad day in this homeless situation and I'm dealing with something that's really hard to deal with, some sort of challenge or adversity or something that really sucks because I'm homeless. That wouldn't be a problem at all if I wasn't homeless. And that scene of Anakin clawing at the ground, yelling at Obi-Wan that I hate you, that's what's going through my head. Like, that scene, that's literal, like, that's in my head. And it's hard when somebody betrays you like that to not feel that way. And I can think of other times in my past where I've been done wrong and just couldn't let go of it for a time. Time will heal wounds. Time will make things easier to deal with. In this situation, I'm still in the thick of it. I'm still having salt rubbed in the wounds every day as I walk around this town dealing with one chaotic thing after the next, and I haven't had a chance. I need a chance for the wounds to heal. I can't be, walking around rubbing these wounds raw every day and getting salt rubbed in them every day. They're never going to heal if every day of my life is still like irritating the wound. It's like I was saying, I used to get injured during soccer season when I turned 30 years old and kept playing soccer competitively. I was getting injuries that in my younger days, my 20s, they would have healed quickly. But these injuries now, and I'm in my 30s, this injury, if I bust my heel in a soccer match, that's stuck until the end of soccer season. That's not going away. And because I'm going to continue to irritate it, I'm going to continue to play, I'm going to continue to put pressure on it, it's just going to keep getting abused, that ankle or the heel or whatever. And it's not going to heal until soccer season ends and I stay off of that heel for, a month or two. And don't do anything crazy like, putting on a pair of hard ground cleats or soft ground cleats and running around, stomping around on a field and, putting it through hell and twisting and turning in every direction and stomp, stomp, stomp and everything else that it goes through in a game. And it's not going to heal until that stops. And so it's kind of like, that's how things are right here in Jamestown. None of this is all still raw, even though it's been 95 days now. It's raw, and these wounds won't heal until I get a chance to relax and rest. And so these are all the reasons why I'm just hoping that this Texas thing comes through, because just the drive to Texas alone, just a drive across the country from Jamestown, New York to, southern Texas is going to heal some wounds. It's just going to that'll be a restful situation, hopefully. But it should be a restful, restorative kind of trip. And when I arrive, I might be able to have a few days of downtime where I just enjoy the company of my friend and his family and just like get settled in and just, I might open up my computer. I might just get started on things because I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to just, I don't want to wear out the welcome. But it would be nice to have a few days to just be away from this place. That's what I need. And then I might be able to get to a place where I can put all this in the past. But every day I'm here, it's raw and it's just in my face and it's just salt getting rubbed in the wound every single day. And it's never gonna heal without some sort of distance and time. So, and if I get stuck here in Jamestown because the Texas thing falls through, then I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to figure something out, though. And so I don't know. I think I'm just going to wrap this up. I'll do 2 plugs. The free.litgood.com, the mailing list. I'm not going to send out any more marketing emails. Maybe I'll send one out next week, or maybe at the end of the week I'll send another one out for the photography deal. And litgood.com is where you can see all the photography. And once again, the digital chicken bucket is at donate.litgood.com. And I definitely have some thank you notes to send out for the last couple of days. And so I'll be doing that as well today. And other than that, I'm just going to wrap up this video because I don't have anything specific to talk about. And there's really nothing going on in terms of the updates. Church was pretty, there wasn't anything profound, but there was definitely a good message there yesterday. And I really just don't have much else to talk about. But tomorrow, I should be able to get my notes together for part 2 of the synchronicity story, and I'll just take it from there. And there are certain parts of the synchronicity story that I definitely have enough kind of bulleted out so that I can cover. There are probably 1 or 2 videos worth where I could just fly through it and just jump right in. But the part about TWA Flight 800, Judy Penzer, and that whole series of synchronicities that go with her, this all happened so long ago, 1996 through 2001, 2000, maybe a little bit beyond that. And there's probably 5 or 6 parts to that story, and I just kind of have to figure it out. And I did grab some clips and some different things to go with it for the editing side. So I'll do that, work on that a little bit today. And I got some other things I got to do. And so hopefully, I hope all you viewers out there who made it this far, I hope that whatever you got going on, I hope you can make it work and that things go your way, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Peace out.